Well, hello, everybody. And if you were just watching on Emily D. Baker's channel regarding the Darrell Brooks trial and verdict, welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Richard Hoeg. I do virtual legality, which is primarily about business, transaction law, video games, software technology, and more. But I have been very, very interested in the trial going on in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, and Darrell Brooks. I've been following Emily throughout. At least as long as she's been following it. You may have seen I did a Hangouts and Headlines, which is our morning show yesterday, that talked a little bit about the reporting that I thought was being done very, very well in Wisconsin on the topic. So I don't usually do anything vis-a-vis live trials here. I don't usually do video content here. But because Ms. Baker is busy and I felt like I wanted to have conversations about what we are likely to hear from the DA and the prosecution, which we are at least told by the law and crime folks is scheduled to be a statement made at 2 p.m. Eastern. So about an hour from now, I wanted to make sure that we all just had a place to go to chat about these things and to otherwise converse about what is a very heady day, a very significant day, I think, for a lot of people. And certainly, as I said, while you may have seen me on the Depp v. Heard coverage or other trials, I'm generally doing that on other people's channels. So we may just have to struggle through hitting a few buttons here on this channel, figuring things out a little, because for the most part, I'm doing newspaper articles and headlines, or I'm doing other things vis-a-vis virtual legality and not otherwise commenting directly on video footage. So I did hit some buttons. I did test some things. I was actually going to potentially stream the verdict if Emily couldn't make it, but I was very glad to see that she did, because I think she's fantastic at it. Well, here we are. We've got a lot to talk about, and certainly I saw a lot of people asking questions of Emily. It is, I think, in some respects cathartic. Of course, she said it so eloquently while we were watching her stream, that it cannot be something that brings anything back. So it's always kind of a melancholic day, even when it goes exactly as, at least I can tell you, I would have hoped. Which is guilty on all counts, guilty on the intentional homicides, the murders, as you heard from the DA yesterday, and all of the reckless endangerment charges, the injuries that we saw associated with the parade. So we'll look at a few of the ways that this is covered. Hopefully we can have chats, we can answer questions, but otherwise we're mostly going to be a little bit chill here for an hour. I wanted to make sure, as she had to leave, that we had some place to land. But right now, what we're told is the press conference is scheduled for about an hour from now. So we've got an hour to chat about this. What do you all think? I have to say, I was a little bit surprised by how little of a reaction Mr. Brooks had after so many days of reacting to every single sentence on earth and otherwise being belligerent. And I do think, at least in part, there is a moment of clarity there where once you are convicted of these crimes, you do have an understanding that that person across the desk from you that is not your equal is now completely in charge of your fate, that the judge will be in charge of sentencing from here and rethinking the stuff that brought you here along this way. So we'll see. I was very happy, as Emily was, to not see a table flip or anything like that with respect to once the verdict has been read. I was, I guess, a little surprised to hear the outburst from the gallery, but not so much so with this level of loss in that community. So, folks, I don't have the same team Emily has. I don't have the same skills with the buttons. We're going to do our best here, and I'm going to do my best to capture some of these chats and things. But please do bear with me. Hopefully, this will be a fun experience for everybody, at least as fun as conversations regarding this kind of topic material can be. As Jody says, thanks for coming in for the clutch. Honestly, I love doing this. I have the buttons. I know how to make videos. And I wanted to have this conversation continue because I really do respect what Emily's done with her community, with the conversation she's able to have. And it's just unfortunate that that time lines up with what I know is a very busy day for her. So I do see all the purple hearts. I think absolutely anybody that's expecting me to cover this thing on the regular, please don't. This is not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going to places like Emily D. Baker and others to have these conversations, but I just wanted to be here and have this conversation with you all. So many purple hearts already in the chat. Like I said last night, if you caught us when we were really after hours, Emily's a great friend of the channel. She's been on Lawyers and Dragons. Real team player with that role playing. and we respect her more than anything. So don't expect me to step on any toes in the future. Apple Pie, thank you. Purple Heart Game Controller, our emojis, absolutely Apple Pie. We're having fun. Come and subscribe from Emily. Yeah, Emily's got a lot going on, and more power to her. I think you're going to see her in more and bigger places as we go. YouTube Live needs a raid feature. Also hear from Emily. It does have one. It's very, very broken, where you can essentially send the link to someone else. But honestly, this was done on the fly. I didn't know Emily's schedule until I was listening. So I was texting her behind the scenes, and I said, look, I can run this, but we don't have enough time to get the links and the redirects and that kind of thing. So while that would be awesome, it's unnecessary. I'll be here. I'll be chatting. If you like this, great. If you like somebody else that's otherwise going to be covering this, fantastic. They might know the buttons even better than me. But certainly, as Emily said right at the end of her stream, this is a family-friendly channel. This is a location where we do have a very similar top-line rule to Ms. Baker's, which is no ad hominem attacks. You can attack the argument. You can absolutely attack the thought process, but there is no need to attack the person behind them. And that's the way we live here on the Hoeg Law YouTube channel, Virtual Legality, at all. Marked ashamed. I just took a look at which group of people is still shouting that Brooks is innocent, all while screaming that Rittenhouse is guilty. That is all you need to know about their justice. Yeah, I think... one of the questions that came up on Emily's stream last night and that has been asked of me is, when you start to publicize these trials more and more, when this kind of thing starts to happen, what, if anything, should society and YouTubers and everybody else be concerned about in terms of the internet interacting with these things? And I do think there is a risk, even though I totally agree with her, that cameras in the courtroom, that transparency is a good thing for society. It's a good thing for us all to really be able to get in there and see how justice works, what it can do, what it can't do. I do worry when you have things like the Reddit story, when you have people trying to kind of inculcate themselves in national stories, and if they become more and more national and more prominent, which it certainly looks to be the way things are happening right now, that you start to get people that seek to do that, to actually interfere with the process itself. And while that's a little bit adjacent to the super chat, and thank you so much for supporting the channel, Marked Ashamed, it is at least a little bit concerning to have people so tribalized on this stuff when, I'm going to be honest here, this particular case was one of the more clear that you can hope for in a case that gains national prominence. And yes, I think at an intellectual level, on an analytical level, me and some of my colleagues were very interested in exactly what Mr. Brooks was doing as his own attorney, his own counsel, and also some of the sovereign citizen stuff you saw him really throwing at the court. But I think it really came home for me during the closing arguments presented by the prosecutors yesterday, just exactly how devastating and how serious this was. So the intellectual side is interesting, and I will continue to be interested in that, those grapplings with the judge, whether the judge was controlling her courtroom okay, what Brooks was saying, the circular arguments, and we can talk about those as much or as little as you all want. But at the end of the day, it doesn't bring those 6 people back. It doesn't uninjure the 61 charges there. And there's a certain amount of sadness that goes with all that. And then we could talk about his closing argument, but that's when I'm not an angry person. I'm not a rageful person, but that might be as close as I've come in the recent past of really saying, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, I mean, welcome everybody that's joined, that is new to the channel, that came from Emily or otherwise. As I said, this is not going to be regular occurrence. I think I labeled it a special live or something along those lines. We just want to be able to talk about these things. I've got my eyes on what I hope will be coverage of a press conference, but if any of you wind up seeing anything that is more clearly what we're looking for, please do let me know. I don't want to be streaming law and crime if I can avoid it. They have a tendency to copyright strike when it's completely unwarranted. And as much as I would think that I would prevail in that particular argument or conversation, I'd prefer not to go down that road. So I do like the local news outlets. I think, quite frankly, they're better at covering these things than some of the national outlets. So I will be keeping my eye on that. But right now, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. So we'll be checking in again probably in a half hour or so, and going from there. Thank you, Mark Deshamed, again for the support of the channel. I really do appreciate it. And so many chats, so many conversations. I did not turn slow mode on. I might be doing that as we go. Baby Gator, I really thought if there was an outburst, it would be him. I did too. It's hard to kind of figure out what's going on in his head right there, right? Because he gets the verdicts read, and it's very difficult to put myself in his shoes. I'm just gonna be honest on this, right? It's very difficult to look at what has happened, look at any of this and say, yeah, I can be in exactly his headspace. But certainly I think there is a realization, right? I mean, once that yes comes, once that guilty comes, there's very little going back. Yes, you can appeal. Absolutely. You have almost no chance of appealing this verdict. And I think it starts to dawn on you, right? I said it yesterday night on Emily's channel, but it appeared to me like he had always thought of himself as the smartest in the room. He tried to dominate the courtroom on a personality level. He tried to dominate the judge on a personality level based on that kind of assumption. And regardless of whether or not you are the smartest man in the room, and I would have arguments there, at the point in time where a jury of your peers says, we're going to find you guilty of 76 counts of criminal activity, that has to be an inflection point for you, right? That has to be a moment in which you say, this is real trouble. This is a real troubling situation I found myself in. And I think that was also reflected in him standing for the jury and just generally being much calmer and personable than we had seen in the immediate days prior to now. Even in the immediate time period before the jury comes in, where he's continuing to poke and prod the judge on all of the random sovereign citizen stuff, he was changed after that. And I will say also, him looking at the jurors in the way he did as they were polled was a little frightening window. I would add to that as well. Susan Lewis found you at Emily D. Baker. Thank you for taking the reins. I'm going to do my best here, folks. I hope I don't disappoint you or Emily, but we are going to absolutely do our best to have a good conversation. Jennifer echoes some of these other sentiments. I'm very shocked Darrell Brooks didn't say more. I am too. Honestly, I would have thought for sure he would say more. As the moment of verdict, all cameras, all eyes on him, that he didn't. I don't know whether that's a bit of shock or what have you, but I'm glad. I am sincerely gladdened, and I do feel like that was about as well as that could have gone. And certainly, even the gallery member that was thrown out for the sentiments he shared, go to hell. I think were probably echoed by a number of people in that room. Lady in Black, hi Hoeg. Emily said she can't stream this. That's why I'm here. I would not be here otherwise. It's Weekend Wednesday here on the Hoeg Law YouTube channel. And I sub to you too, so I'm glad you're streaming this. Thank you also for suggesting her channel for Live of the Trial. She's very compassionate. I love Emily. She's a great person to watch this stuff with. I don't know that you can do better. I just subscribed to Emily. Absolutely. Jojo, thank you for the super sticker and supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we're going to be able to get this conference on here in about 45 minutes. I can't believe you're really Hoeg Law. If you were, you'd wear a hat. So I schedule my haircuts on Wednesdays, and I had one this morning. So, it's behind the scenes stuff. I was not planning on going live with you all, or maybe even making a video today, because I've been on videos, I think, every day for the past 20 or something like that. So I appreciate it. Love you. All the best to you and Mrs. Hoeg Law, green emoji. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It is lovely to see all of these kind of warm sentiments and community here in this space, talking about a really difficult thing. I think I heard or saw a number of comments as the verdict's being read about how sad this is. And it is. There's just very little in the emotional catharsis. You can have intellectual catharsis. You can feel like justice is served, and so many court rulings I know people don't feel that way about, and yet it doesn't change the past. And I'm reflecting on that as well, along with all of you. I'm a lawyer, but if you don't know me, I'm a transactional lawyer, right? I effectively got into this YouTube space of streaming cases with some of the people you see online because I was tweeting about video games being wrongly used by prosecutors as evidence of moral corruption, and that led to all this. That was over a year ago, I think. And so I go on there. I am the legally trained dumb person to ask the questions about legalese, about the magic words in the trial and the litigation. Now that we're at least post-trial, I think we can have this conversation here. But end of the day, I go to those litigators that you go to as well to get a little bit more litigation insight. Deborah, thank you. Hey, I'm more than happy to do it. I want to make sure that it works. I do want to make sure I'm behind the scenes here. I don't have the multiple monitors. I don't have the producers I can team with. But to make sure that we do grab this press conference. So like I said, if any of you in chat about the 1:45 mark wind up seeing something that looks like a link that we can work with, preferably local news over Law and Crime or Court TV or something like that, let me know. At least flag it for me. I don't know whether YouTube will allow links right now or anything else, but at least mention it to me and I will do my best. I see we already have bots here. We're going to try to kill those as quickly as possible. But yeah, this was an impromptu. Hey, I have enough buttons to hit. I have that hour free. Let's see if we can do it. So as long as you can work with me on that, we're gonna do our best here. Sub in a slow mode, asks my mods. We are gonna try to do that. I think that's actually a really good idea. So while I try to collect these chats, I will turn those things on. As I said, impromptu means I was not hitting all the buttons. There's about 50 to hit whenever you start one of these things. And so my mod asks for a subscriber mode and a slow mode. We're going to deliver that for her. So just bear with me 1 minute while I do that. And we will get the up and running and everybody hopefully a little bit more protected from bots and all the various vagaries of badness. So we're going to do subscriber mode. I don't think we need to do too long there, and we'll put on a slow mode. And then to my mods, Secret McSquirrel et al., let me know if that is not enough, and we'll see if we can add some more buttons here to just make it a little bit easier for everybody to engage with. And I've completely lost the last super chat. Rosie, ask Emily's mods help you in the chat if needed. I will, absolutely. I think we've got it right now. We do not have the 30,000 people. So I think that's actually pretty good because if you were watching anything yesterday with Emily, you know that was an absolute cascade, and certainly a little bit more ability to control the chat is going to be appreciated, I think, for everyone. Brittany, thanks you for picking it up. Hoeg, purple heart emoji. I subbed to you during DEP. You're one of the good ones. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Brittany. I certainly try. Liv, you got this, Hoeg. The buttons aren't so scary. You know, I am definitely afraid at all times of randomly hitting end broadcast or somehow, even though I don't have any of them up, somehow bringing up like some confidential client information and broadcasting it on the internet. Something that would just really not be great. Sharon's got slow the chat, Rick. I just hit the slow. Let me know if that's not slow enough, and we can go from there. I know I'm a couple of minutes in the past with these chats already. Secret McSquirrel sub in a slow mode. I already did it. Hopefully that's helpful. I just saw it right now. Kimberly, thanks for giving law nerds a place to land. Love Hogan co-counsel. Thank you so much. Co-counsel loves you. Co-counsel loves everybody. She's absolutely fantastic. And she's been fantastic today. We've been doing some behind the scenes stuff and been absolutely wonderful. Natalie, I was worried as he asked for his shock ankle off, right? That's a moment of interest. The right response is something along the lines, and the judge, I think, just ignored it, of no, this is actually precisely the moment where we need the shock ankle the most. This is why we have those. Generally speaking, we're not going to shock you for yelling at me, as is evident by the last 4 weeks. But right now, when you're going to be told that your freedom is ended, that's when we have the shock ankle ready and available. So yeah, when he asks to have it removed, it's like, what are you thinking, my man? No. The Adam Project, can you give your overview of the sovereign citizen argument movement and his strategy of lack thereof? I don't know if anybody can quite give an overview of what is deliberately by design a kind of amorphous, difficult to tag down movement. But I think from what I have seen on the outside, and I cannot claim special information here, it is essentially a group of people that think that they can outsmart the legal system and or that legal system doesn't apply to them. And sometimes they use things that are at least intuitively true-ish. And I think the best example of this is we saw it yesterday. We saw it when the judge, in my opinion, erroneously, but she was trying to defend her position, started talking to Mr. Brooks about jury nullification. And if you guys don't know, jury nullification is the concept that the jury is fully in charge. They go into that room, it's a black box, and they can return a not guilty verdict for basically any reason that the court and the legal system doesn't have the ability to go and say, no, you can't do that. All the elements are there. Now, that's even still a little bit simplified because a judge can, in many jurisdictions, go and say, well, actually, the jury got it wrong, and I can issue a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. That's a different ball of wax. But outside of that the jury has complete and total authority to say, nope, we don't agree that this particular situation should warrant a finding of guilt here, whether that's because the law is old and inapplicable to modern society, whether there's other fundamental flaws with it, whether the given situation presents one where justice would not be served if they didn't otherwise nullify the law. The jury has that power because there isn't a great way to take it from them. And in some respects, the legal system would like to take it from them. And you see that in the bifurcation of what the judge said to Darrell Brooks. They said, okay, yes, the jury has the power to nullify because there's very little we could do about that is the underlying parenthetical there. But you don't have the right to advocate for it because the entire legal system is premised on the jury finds the facts and whether they're applicable to the law. They don't get to set the law themselves. They're not legislature in the background there. And so what the judge was trying to say to Mr. Brooks was, no, it's a power they have, but you can't advocate for it. And Mr. Brooks, in his own circular way, is rightly saying, you just said they have the power. Why can't I mention it? And there is that kernel of truth there, right? That it's a little weird the way that is set up in the legal system. And they find these little weirdness, these little oddities, right? Standing, jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, all these various things that could, on the margins, in a very particular set of circumstances, otherwise be useful arguments. And you just apply them like a blanket because you heard the magic words, you heard the incantation, Wingardium Leviosa, and now you think that gets you out of jail. But it doesn't get you out of running your SUV over a Christmas parade, as Mr. Brooks has found. And I think that's really what it strikes me as most. But there are other channels, definitely. I think Law Talk with Mike covers sovereign citizen stuff all the time, that would know better than I would. But certainly from the observation, what I see is this kind of smartest man in the room concept, or smartest woman in the room, and looking at things and saying, there must be an incantation I can do to get around these silly people that are still a part of society and judges and things like that. Lily, I bought into all the media hype before watching the Rittenhouse case. Actually seeing the proceedings was eye-opening. Televising trials can really counter media and social media narratives. I agree. Actually, what I found myself tweeting about was that Rittenhouse case, about how they were using Call of Duty, of all things, to talk about why there was a problem with him. And I was tweeting about that because it's a common argument, and I cover a lot of video games and interactive technology here in this space. And I think it's a very poor argument, right? There's millions and millions and millions of people that play these games and not people that do any of the things you otherwise see in these various criminal trials. And so it's not a very good argument, but people use it time and time again. And I was tweeting about it, and ultimately I was myself seeing those headlines and seeing the difference between what I was observing in court and being very concerned. So if you don't know, one of the other shows outside of Virtual Legality that I do on this channel is called Hangouts and Headlines. And the Hangouts is because we talk with chat. We do this every morning on the channel. And we also cover headlines and media coverage of things, often that are controversial, often that are not. But talking about the rhetoric they use and the way that they kind of steer conversations in specific ways. And one of the reasons I was talking about this trial at all is because I covered it in headlines because I was very impressed by the way that the Wisconsin local news folks were covering this particular case and not otherwise kind of sliding into overt editorialization. So they did it a little bit, and we commented on that in our headlines. You can check that out on the channel. It's the last one I did, so it should be yesterday. My goodness, the days are long, aren't they? And so you can check that out. But very often, especially with like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and Rittenhouse, as you mentioned, there are just these wildly different worlds that are sometimes reported out to the subscriber base of these newspapers. And I thought it was important to at least talk about what was going on because of exactly what you say. Exactly. Nicholas Starro, the closest to salvation Mr. Brooks will ever come is the shadow from the window crossbar on the wall in solitary confinement. I got to say, blaming it on God's will was not the right direction for your closing argument, but I don't think there was any saving him at that point in time. I think I had some people referencing, I live in Milwaukee. Local stations would likely cover it. I would assume any or all would cover it live. Yes, they were covering the verdict. That was what I was ready with on, I think it was WISN. I'm hopeful that they will pop back into being a few minutes before the press conference. Otherwise, this is going to be the worst press conference coverage stream ever, and I apologize in advance. But I will be watching those. If you see one of those go, I'll probably be trying to get up to speed on these chat comments, on the discussion that's been happening here in that neighborhood. So we're 125 right now. That's about 20 minutes away. I'm going to start looking to make sure that works a little bit. Camper for Life 22 loves Emily D. Baker. Who doesn't? I think that's a great choice. Hi, Emily sent me, says Liesel. Hi, Liesel. I'm happy to have you here at the channel. Fantastic stuff. And I'm scrolling because I'm way behind. People that are here regularly are commenting on the fact that 99.9% of the time I'm wearing a ball cap. Daydreaming Pixie asks if I have a haircut every Wednesday. No, I am not at that level of self-care. It just so happens that when I schedule my haircuts, I schedule them for Wednesdays because I know it's Weekend Wednesday for Hangouts and Headlines. Ashley Rippert, I take back my tweet about Weekend Wednesday. Hey, Ashley. Ashley was up early this morning saying, oh, I'm up early and I don't have a Hangouts and Headlines to watch. Well, this isn't Hangouts and Headlines, but it kind of looks like it on TV, doesn't it? I'm very happy to have everybody here. Switch to subscribers only chat. I did. Hopefully that's enough. We can turn up those time frames if we need to. Hoeg with the lush hair. I tell you what, man, uncomfortable when folks comment on my physical appearance on YouTube, but I appreciate the compliments. Physical, psychedelic Yoda. Okay. My spouse and I were talking about whether this glorifies the criminals. What are your thoughts on that, or is that a separate conversation? I think it's a risk. I don't know that it's a risk that's completely avoided, whether you televise them or not. So it's kind of a balancing test. But I do think, even with like the Reddit thread last night, where you've got like the justice for Darrell, which I admit I thought was effectively a satire, both in the post that came out and in the subreddit's existence in general, because this to me is one of the clearest non-justice for causes hashtag that you can put up there. And it was obvious that that was in fact the case. And yet you want to worry about humanity, just go find the darkest corner of the internet that you can, and you can worry about humanity with me. I think that there is a legitimate concern. My hope, and I'm an optimist. Some of my colleagues call me naive, is that if you get it a little bit more to be the norm, you get a little bit less of these pops and folks trying to get famous and otherwise interacting with the criminals on a celebrity basis. And I think that will happen as it just becomes, hey, we've got however many cases we've got per day, and they're all very public, and we're having these conversations. But yeah, I do worry because I think there are people that are looking for those kinds of anti-heroes or that celebrity worship, and I think there is a risk of that, certainly. Marcel Jones, thank you for taking the time on your day off to stream. If you recall, last Weekend Wednesday, I wound up doing a 7-hour stream on Microsoft versus the CMA and Microsoft times Activision and that pending transaction. So I'm really, really bad at making Weekend Wednesday a weekend. But I'm very happy to be here with you all and hopefully covering this press conference in about half an hour. DMG, Deborah from EDB, Texas girl living in Florida. And what is that? Like a princess emoji? That is awesome, DMG. Happy to have you here. Thank you very much for the support of the channel. New sub, but I've been watching you on and off. I enjoy you and your way of running your channel. Thanks, G. Thorpe. It's very important to me to be able to have reasonable minds can differ as the mantra and the ethos of this channel, and to recognize that even when we disagree, there's humanity on the other side of that table, and that's going to help us all grow. Reasoned disagreement is such a fantastic way to live. Having those conversations, thinking about things in a different perspective. You do not have to have your mind changed if you're worried about that, but learning how another person thinks, having good faith conversations, that's a good thing that we can all add to the world, and is one of the reasons that this channel exists. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think I'm actually getting pretty close to caught up, which is awesome. Lindsay Metcalf, one of these weeks you'll get your Weekend Wednesday, LOL. I cannot be too upset about spending time with awesome people in chat talking about a thing that I think is of supreme importance, which is the justice system and how it treats people, how it interacts with folks. We just saw in a very unusual set of circumstances, like Mr. Brooks, and better understanding of it for all, I think is just a great thing. Natalie Lawyer Chick covers them too. Yes, you can mention everybody that covers the sovereign citizens because I think that's fantastic. Natalie's one of my favorite people on YouTube as well. So do check her out. She covers those kinds of things. Oh my God, Hoeg, you have hair? Especially for folks that are new to the channel. This might seem like an odd set of comments, but yes, I almost always wear hats. Where's the press conference? Press conference goes up in about a half hour. I think I can actually put that in a pin here. So I will try to get that set up so everybody knows that. And we will certainly be trying to cover that in this space. Like I said, I always hate, I'm a scheduling guy, right? I'm an organized guy. I'm a lawyer, corporate guy. I always hate when I have to be like, well, those should go live shortly before that press conference, and we'll have something to cover if I don't screw up the buttons. But we've got a lot of variables here, and I assure you, I'm going to do my best. And I depend on you, chat. I am sure you will make it known if the stream isn't working or if the sound isn't coming through or anything like that. And then I will work to make sure that it is as good a situation as possible. Loved your Harry Potter quote. Wingardium Leviosa is my go-to legal magic words language. Are these not in all the briefs? Okay. Thank you, Daddy's Girl. I appreciate it. Laura Ryder, reviewing for the bar exam. Fantastic, Laura. Congratulations. And the whole trial, I was internally screaming about Brooks, arguing about subject matter, jurisdiction, facepalm emoji. I think for all of us, and you could certainly see it with Emily yesterday, I think for all of us, when you hear those arguments and you know enough, you want to be like on the shoulder of the judge being like, one, I think the biggest, most important piece of advice was just stop. It's a bad faith argument. You're never going to convince him. Ignore him, tell him to sit down. But she was doing her absolute darndest to make sure that the entirety of the trial wasn't appealable. And that's one of the reasons you saw, we can talk about this as well. It's one of the reasons I think you saw that there was a closing argument given to Mr. Brooks at all, even though everybody knew he was going to talk about jury nullification. And they did the objection. I think the DA was very, very wise there. And I'll be interested to see if she gets a question on it today in this press conference to suggest, hey, instead of fighting this tooth and nail, let's let him talk. And I think the DA also had the instinct because this is probably not going to go so well for him. And indeed, she was very right. So good luck on your bar exam. That is a tough, tough test for anybody. So we're all thinking about you. Congratulations on getting through law school. Island, you are not a second choice or backup option. After so much DB energy, Hoeg energy is welcome and needed. I am a backup option. I am totally willing to accede to the fact that I'm a backup option on live trial coverage and press conferences and whatnot, because I think you have such great commentators here. And I just wanted to make sure that we still had a place to talk about this stuff. But I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I can be number one on business transactions. Always okay. Hoeg Law, we missed the hat. I have hats nearby. I can get a hat if needed. If there's a hat emergency, if a fan comes through my office or otherwise a large bird flaps its wings at me, I can be ready. The guy who had the outburst was Nick Kirby, the guy who said it when his jacket comes off, trouble follows. Is that confirmed? Do we know it is Mr. Kirby on that? It was unexpected. Hoeg, do you think he should be on a live watch? He seems despondent. No. The prison systems of Waukesha and elsewhere will have their own protocols for evaluating these things. It didn't strike me as that. I think it was unexpected. I think there was a certain amount of shock. I expect that he will recover his old personality relatively quickly and become more defiant than less. And you do worry about exactly what those victim statements are going to be like and exactly how much trouble Mr. Brooks can cause. But now that his constitutional rights have been met, he should be able to be dealt with a little bit more severely and without concerns on the appellate side of things. For the most part, that's a gross generalization. Summer Crook, I didn't know Emily played D&D. We kind of made her. I love that they play Lawyers and Dragons, laughing emojis. Like I said, they need their own law nerds. Hellfire Club t-shirts. I don't want to get on Netflix's bad side. Did you see what they did to Barlow and Bear? I can't. Wow. They could have Hellfire Club, but Lawyers and Dragons shirts are in the shop. This is not really a pitch episode here, but if you are interested, there'll be a link in my other videos because I didn't link it in this one to the shop. We do have Lawyers and Dragons stuff if you're interested. But yeah, Emily was a real treat. She was like all of our guests, kind of like, what are we even doing? And then by the end of the 2-hour episode, which you can see, I want to say it's episode 4. I haven't, you can check the guest list on the descriptions if you're interested in seeing Emily. By the time that ended, I think she was as good as any of us at playing Dungeons & Dragons. So it was a lot of fun. What's the image behind me? This right here, this is Gaming Dino. So this is the youngest Hoeg, and she makes art. And she goes to art fairs, sells her art and stickers and other things. And we thought it would be a cool thing when we redid our store in the last couple of months to have a little bit of the youngest Hoeg's contributions in there. Much to our surprise, Gaming Dino is the #1 seller on the store, right? We got virtual legality stuff. We got Hangouts and Headlines stuff. We got Lawyers and Dragons stuff. We got all sorts of good stuff. And I am so happy that my littlest Hoegling, is how COUNSEL refers to her, is the most popular item. So you can get a Gaming Dino sticker, you can get Gaming Dino mug, Gaming Dino shirts. Actually, we're just going to change all of virtual legality, this whole channel, just to Gaming Dino Palooza, and go from there. But that is what that is. It's a gaming dinosaur, which you can see on the shop. What was the lawful law thing he kept talking about? Honestly, I don't know. A number of the pieces of magic phraseology, the grounds, the lawful law, even the subject matter jurisdiction, since he's not using it correctly, it's all just kind of ephemera. It literally is Wingardium Leviosa. That's why I'm saying it that way, which is just kind of things that you think you can say. Is it a lawful law? Because it could be an unlawful law, right? An unlawful law is something somewhat akin to an unconstitutional law, right? That an unconstitutional law is unlawful. It's not a terribly great way of describing that, but he's asking for confirmation that whatever she's basing her decisions on is in fact lawful, which is somewhat silly. And at some point, she decided in the last 24 hours that she's just going to ignore it and say, deny, 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 and then just not answer him, which is, I think, is a good move. But that's the rough estimate of what he's even talking about at all. But I'd be lying if I said I could get into his head. Paula Graham, wouldn't it be great if they could find and make an example out of the Reddit prankster? I'm actually curious about this. What you'd have to bring charges on would be something like, false use or criminal use of a computer, potentially like getting a wiretapping statutes on a federal level. It's unclear what jurisdiction this person even lives in. But yes, I do think that as we move towards greater transparency in courts, which obviously as a lawyer that talks about these things, I'm in favor of, and I think it's useful for all of us, there do need to be parameters firmly established in society's memory that doing that kind of thing is a bad idea. Reddit, in the internet, I'm sure that they really did think it was a prank and isn't this funny. And honestly, by the time I got to the end of that post, I thought it was pretty obviously a satire or false. But you cannot get involved in the actual legal process at the point in time where the judge has to give a separate hearing on you. You've gone too far. And I would certainly like to see society in general, however that looks, go and say, this isn't acceptable. You can't be a part of the story. We know it's very exciting, but you're not a part of the story. Don't try to be, or we're going to have problems. Jilly Bear, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. And I love the profile picture. That's awesome. My thought, DB's court antics don't look good to the jury, but he cooked his own goose by saying, in closing, I'm happy to report that my conscience is clear. I have no regrets. Seriously, not a jury pleaser. Thank you. Yeah, to me, and I think different people are going to have different reaction points on this stuff. Thank you again for the super chat. To me, it was really the advocation of it was God's will. And that, of course, leads to kind of the logical, I'm God's instrument to kill your family members or to injure them or to hospitalize them, to run through a Christmas parade. And that was the one where I'm just like, nah, forget it. I don't know what the evidence says. I don't care. Guilty. And when you get to that point in time to a juror, especially like if you're a lawyer, and I can't think that way. So I'm hyperbolizing only a little bit. Then everything is lost. And so, yeah, I have a clear conscience. I have no regrets about what I did. It was God's will. I think you're done. I think you're done. And then yet it's still shocking when it actually happens the next day. Don Leinart, planning haircuts because Weekend Wednesday. Hangouts and Headlines isn't that old. It isn't. It's older than I think. Generally, when I think about it, it started in May. So it's 5 months. We're almost at half a year of Hangouts and Headlines. But it just it just made sense. So when I'm at the haircut place, I can select when the next haircut appointment is. And so Wednesday mornings is when I do it. Now, you know, for those of you that are choosing to try to stalk me, as I go to and from haircuts on Wednesdays, they're on Wednesdays. They're on Wednesday mornings. Kat in Virginia, 149 super sticker. Thank you so much, Kat. I really appreciate it. That is very nice of you. Sue Lillard, thank you, Rick. Greetings from Granville. So glad to see you. Green hearts emojis. I am so glad to see you as well. Shireen with the game controllers and the purple heart emoji, representing Emily D. Baker herself. Hoeg's heart color is black. Always nice to hear from your wife, which is not like his heart, but does match a game controller. I'm glad. You know, I didn't know what direction you were going to go, co-counsel, but at the end, I think it was all nicely recovered. Yes, my black heart would probably be an okay one. Caitlin Harris, what was the thing that stood out most to you in this trial? I will tell you this, right? Obviously, the circumstance is tragic, and I think that's why folks were focused on it at all, because there's a lot of sovereign citizen shenanigans across the trial spectrum, unfortunately. But to me, intellectually, I was following it from afar. I was checking in on what was happening, and people started asking me about Brooks's behavior, and more specifically about the judge's responses. And so intellectually, what I was most interested in was kind of the concept, like when is it appropriate to take a soft hand? You're trying to prevent appeals, so you're trying to give a lot of leeway. And when is it appropriate to say, actually, this is my kingdom, this is my courtroom, and I need to be able to assert authority here. You are not my peer. And so people were asking me about it. I went and watched some clips. I watched some video footage of it because I'm otherwise doing things, obviously. And that's what stood out to me the most, was really the judge's kind of approach to this, because I tend to agree with the other folks that have commented on it that this is probably a few notches more lenient than I would run my courtroom, that at some point you're just not making headway trying to argue case law with this guy. Yet I do, as I said earlier, think reasonable minds can differ. Reason disagreement is how we grow. And I think there were instances there where I said, that is not what I would have done. And I think the outcome was maybe a little bit better or a little bit smoother than I would have had. Now, I also think you could make the argument that if you do take a heavier hand, if you do control your courtroom earlier, maybe you aren't running into the same problems in week 4 that we saw evidenced here. And I do kind of go back to my experience parenting or even dealing with clients and trying to manage expectations and those kinds of things. And I do think the expectation was granted a little bit that you are my peer and you're allowed to argue these things with me. And I think that was probably too close. But those are the thoughts that I really had, was that kind of interaction and watching that happen, because I have never seen anything like that. And novelty at my age is always something of interest, which is like, how does this work? What changes can we make? What tweaks can we make? That's what stood out to me most in this trial. Thank you so much for the super chat, Caitlin. Detective Seeds, all of my time spent working undercover in SovSit cases. I am actually glad that the public got the opportunity to see just how ludicrous that movement and belief really is. Detective Seeds is a member of the police force, or was. And yeah, I think there's usefulness there, right? Somebody else asked, does this aggrandize criminals? Potentially. I think there is usefulness to seeing that madness, to seeing what that looks like and what the court system is trying to deal with and the pressures that it puts on that court system when people essentially just say this whole court is out of order and don't abide by anything. And so I'm glad you're in support of that, because I do think it's useful, Detective Seeds. Thank you so much for the super chat. Barney Cat, the pandering to him drove me batty. I appreciate it now as it served to protect the legal system. Pandering is temporary, feels bad in the moment. Prison is forever in this case. I passed the bar last week. Congratulations, Barney Cat. Best wishes to others. Fantastic news. So that was your bar results from the summer bar exam. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. And yeah, there is that notion of temporality, right? It feels awful. You just want her to throw the book at him and say, what are you even doing? And yet, if you can get to the end game, if you can get to the jury verdict finding guilt, then it is more protected than it would be if, for instance, he didn't get a closing argument or he was otherwise thrown out in places where it felt good, but it maybe could have been challenged at the appellate level. At least as of now, watching that case, watching how the judge treated things, it is very difficult to appeal any of her decisions because almost all of them were lenient towards the defendant. And I think that's a good note. Natalie Wisco, a Wisconsin attorney herself, with the smiley face emoji. Natalie, hey, how are you doing? Hope you're doing all right this afternoon. Sugar Mag 78, a new member of the channel. Thank you so much, Sugar Mag. Really appreciate it. And I think maybe we're caught up. No, I'm still a couple minutes behind. Will Darrell Brooks have an option for a defender for his appeal? Yeah. I mean, he can always get an appellate attorney. It wouldn't be a public defender, I don't think, in Wisconsin. But yes, he can always get a lawyer. And I think all lawyers would generally advise this. He should try. Here are the Black Hearts for Lawyers and Dragons. After co-counsel answered that. Waffle Bear. I don't think I have my Waffle Bear mug here to show you from the Littlest Hoagling. We need Waffle Bear. Well, you know what? She might be putting up her own shop. We're talking through options for her. She's very excited about the popularity of Gaming Dino, and I appreciate you all for that. Lindsay Metcalf, currently wearing my Lawyers and Dragons hoodie, drinking my second cup of coffee from my Gaming Dino mug, can endorse 10 out of 10. Hoodie is super cozy and mug is very functionally a mug, with plenty of fun around the outer bits. It very much contains and holds your liquids for future enjoyment. Yeah, I tell you what, I've said this before, but co-counsel was very cautious to test and sample everything before we put it in the store. So we rejected a bunch of stuff. I have the detritus of failed entries onto the store in our living room. I'm very glad that the mug is working out, as is the hoodie. Jennifer Foley, thanks for streaming from the thumb of Michigan. That's right, folks. If you don't know any Michiganders, we have a tendency to describe our state by saying we live here. What else? Oh, it's Papa Hoeg. What a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Dad always bringing it home. This trial could have been handled with the same efficiency as the verdict. Let's always remember the victims and not waste the space on our planet. Okay, little heat, Dad. Thank you. It does seem like a waste, and I certainly think it could have been done more quickly with a little bit less leniency towards the defendant. But as I said earlier, there is a certain value in knowing that this appears from the outside to be virtually appeal proof. Love you, Dad. Thank you for the super chat. Midnight Dreary for the wonderful Mrs. Hoeg, co-counsel. Well earned. She is awesome indeed. All right, it's 1:47. We got to make sure, I will try to grab these, that we can actually get a press conference up here. So I'm going to be checking on that behind the scenes here. And we'll see if we can find a link that will work for this. Because I would really very much like to do so. We got day 15, day 14. Sometimes the search on YouTube is just not as helpful as it could otherwise be. So we'll do some other checking here, see if anybody else finds anything. I want to make sure I don't miss all of you generous super chatters, but I also want to make sure we actually get this coverage up. Law and Crime's channel is saying they will have it. If we have to use Law and Crime, we will use Law and Crime, and we'll just take them yelling at me later if they choose to do so. But in co-counsel here, insert Hoeg thinking noises. What noises do I make when I think? It's that kind of Well, I did advertise that we'd be covering these press conferences, so I'd like to make sure we actually do that, because I think that's an important piece of why people are here. I don't think they just came to otherwise hang out with me for an hour, although I've been enjoying it. I don't have any concerns about that. But I don't have any links yet other than my own. So we will see if we can make this happen. Wire details. Co-counsel is going to squeaky door me. Is my voice already hurting? See if you can find that a link for me, will you? All right. Sorry, folks. We're going to take care of you. We're going to make this work. Don't worry about it. We're still 10 minutes out. Sometimes they start pretty late. We will make sure that we get this up for everybody, that we have some noise so we can do some tech tests beforehand. But they just haven't. They're just not playing anything live right this second, I don't believe. We got commercials on WISN 12. That's what I'm watching right now. So we'll have that on in the background, and we'll see what happens in the next 10 minutes or so. Okay, everybody. Let's see if we can get some sound here. Let's just make sure I can hit these right buttons. Make sure everything loads up, which is, of course, not doing right now. So we got a load here. The one thing I want to check here, if this loads in, and if it doesn't, we'll get somewhere else.
A lot of tense moments
is that sound is coming through, chat. So make sure that sound is coming through. I will also check Fox 6 here. It was just a second of sound, so we'll make sure we can get this behind the scenes. I already know I got too many tabs open. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks for bearing with me, folks. I want to make sure that we do get this covered properly. And that we find somebody with a good stream that we can watch for this. So I do apologize.
We are Midwest, the old and the new. We are strong, unforgettable, and true.
Oh, my computer will undoubtedly throw a tantrum. The sound was working, so that method is going to work. That's what I was checking earlier today. Is Hoeg Law, maybe he should give me a link to do the behind the scenes stuff. I'll work on all that. Like I said, I'm not generally even having video on this channel, so it's not usually something I have to worry about, folks. So I do apologize for that, but we'll make it work. We just have to make sure we have a good feed, and that people can get what they need. In the meantime, you all get to see how many buttons you get to try to hit if you are solo on all this. I do like the words of affirmation are very nice from the chat. I appreciate it, Jennifer. I'm not stressed about it. I just want to actually deliver this thing. So we'll try to make sure that
everyone has the right.
What's always amusing to me about the streams that you're checking and the text you do behind the scenes, ads always work. Isn't that weird? Ads always fantastic.
Make a plan to vote.
Actual streams not as much.
Find information about accessible accommodations.
Got to make sure that your sponsors are taken care of.
You could go to Grainger.com to find what you need to get the job done. Grainger, supplies and solutions for every industry.
There you go. Sabrina, I can't hear anything unless I'm giving headphones and taking off mute. You know, I think I know somebody like that. All right, hopefully that's working all right in the background. Co-counsel, you may need to stop your stream depending on how our computers are doing. Kurt almost logged into his bank account on stream with us yesterday, so no matter what you do, it could be worse. That's the big fear. You're going to go into a client account. You're going to go into a Dropbox. You're going to forget that you're streaming somehow, and you're going to like enter in your bank account information or what have you. Like when you're broadcasting to the world on the internet, you're hearing commercials. Well, that's good. Okay. See if I can make sure that you're not, because WISN is just having a load-in problem. Which is not ideal. So hopefully we can figure out how to get them working properly. Otherwise, we'll pull up the law and crime. It's no big deal. We can close a bunch of tabs. We can get out of this Chrome stuff and make it maybe a little bit easier for the old computer. Don't want to have my computer die like Emily's did. Poor computer. Okay. All right. TMJ4 News has the feed. Let's see if we can make that happen. YouTube very helpfully recommending my own stream to me. Always nice. Wonderful. Wonderful. Zarina of Tokyo, I appreciate it. Hopefully we can just put that on in the background and everything will work. Nobody touch anything. Nobody breathe. Hopefully that'll work. All right. I got that on the background. God willing, it'll all work out for us. Thank you so much, Zarina of Tokyo. That is a very helpful feed. It does look to be everything that we need. So I really, really appreciate it. All right. I know there were some super chats. I know there were some chats we can cover. There's nobody doing anything except adjusting flag placement right now. I promise. So we can go talk with y'all. Okay. So hopefully that all works. Baby Gator, in my opinion, you, EDB, Rob, and Runkle have the best channels, allowing us to have a hard conversation in a safe space. That's the goal. And I think that's a goal for a lot of us. Want to have that conversation that can be forthcoming, that can be serious, that can be disagreeable. You can be in disagreement with another person, but it doesn't come to the level of attacking another person's humanity. So I really appreciate it. That is very affirming to hear. That's what I want to do in this space. So thank you so much for the super chat. Hoegling Shop would support. I'll let her know. She absolutely loves all the success Gaming Dino has had. Stacy, local news indicates they expect a family member of one of the dancing grannies who died. Oh my goodness. And possibly an injured high school band member to speak along with the DA. They're going to have victims there. Okay. Well, then, just so you know, it's probably going to get pretty emotional. It's probably going to get pretty serious. Yeah, they deserve to be heard. So it's a big day for them as well. That's an unfortunate big day. Hey, Hoeg, saw Natalie Lorachek. She took exception to DB saying you're practicing law from the bench. I didn't understand what this meant or her reaction. Can you elaborate, please, and thank you? Yeah, so again, it's magic words that are almost true but wrong, right? So one of the things that I say in this space is that the court is not supposed to legislate from the bench, right? That the judiciary, the way that all the states and the federal law system is set up in the United States, is that the legislatures pass laws. They decide on the rules in which society operates. The judiciary has a separate concept of enforcing and interpreting those laws, right? So they are not supposed to rewrite them. So one of the things you can accuse a judge of doing, generally speaking, not in trial when you're on trial for murder, but you can accuse a judge of doing is that they are legislating from the bench, that they are recrafting law, which is somewhat close to what Mr. Brooks was trying to get at. But what he came out with was you're practicing law. And what the judge properly responded is, I'm a judge. This is the practice of law. So I think that was probably a wise diffusal of that particular argument, as I expect the judge probably knew what he was trying to get at. And we do have people live here. So let's see if we can get this. I don't have any audio on my side yet either, folks. So hopefully this is all fine. And I apologize for the quality here. But right now it might be a picture. I don't have any audio, but we do see the people coming together. And when they do talk, you can expect that I will be. I know. I'm just already giving you grief. I will be relatively soft spoken here, so I will try to match it up as best as I can.
Thanks for busting them out, though, Leland. I sure appreciate that.
You can see they're in good spirits for what they did, and as sad as a circumstance that it is, I think you're allowed as a prosecutor to say, we got them, essentially. And you're seeing that here as the camera is scrolling around here. They do appear to have victims. And yeah, in terms of audio, folks, there's no, it's very minimal audio. I will probably try to balance myself down so that you can turn up the video at your discretion. But this person isn't mic'd at all, so I don't think we can hear him at all. Of course, it helps if I unmute.
Introductions as soon as the family members come down here.
You're going to moderate the questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's going to be one, all.
Yeah.
Emily has checked in and says hi.
Do you want me to run up there? No. Do you want me to run upstairs? And for Carrie, I didn't bring my phone, but
Ryan.
Oh, good. You guys are all staying together. Perfect. Where's 4? Oh, perfect. You guys set this up perfect.
Ryan.
We'll go right, you 4 right away. And then,
Come on, Pepper.
do you want to leave Pepper
you
here?
guys set this up perfect.
Yes.
I'm going to do my best, Daydreaming Pixie. We're going to contribute our commentary to this current event, but I do want to make sure that we let them be heard. That's really what the conference is about.
Yeah, because these camera guys come on in over here. And then if you want to walk around, go by Brad right there, Brecky right there. Just kind of filling over there.
Thanks for coming in. Sit. Thanks.
And then you two go behind Ryan right there.
Hey, Dave.
David, Ryan, grab him too. You can go.
Getting out of the way.
Who's Ryan?
All right, I'm going to keep that muted and small until we actually have somebody taking the podium. I think it's a podium. I never get that one right. And then we will go on with a little bit more of that. But yeah, there is a dog there. There's a lot of people in this one space, so it is a very well attended press conference. So you can imagine that this was in planning at some level, as they suspected, as we did last night. That as those closing arguments got finished, as they could see what was happening in the jury and respond to the jury, that it was likely that a verdict was going to come pretty quickly. Yes. I don't know that I can get rid of it because I'm not as good as my compatriots. They do a thing and then it zooms in a little more. I'll see what I can do. But they take it to full screen on a different monitor, and I can't necessarily do that. It's possible what I can do is just get rid of it. But yeah, we'll see. My wife, ever worried about too much extra context from the stream in general, and I'm not trying to grab anything I shouldn't be. But let's see if we can get the audio back here.
Okay. Speaking today will be District Attorney Sue Opper, Chief Dan Thompson of the Waukesha Police Department. Also, David Sorensen, which is the husband of Virginia Ginny Sorensen, Tyler Pudliner, he's a Waukesha South band member, and Amber Conkey, a mother of one of the juvenile victims. Also present with us today is County Executive Paul Farrell, the prosecution team consisting of Leslie Basie, Zach Witchow, Detective Tom Casey from the Waukesha Police Department, Detective Ryan Rugland from the Waukesha Sheriff's Office, and paralegal Christy Giese. Also, to my right, your left, is Jen Dunn and Carrie Peterson from the Waukesha County District Attorney Victim Witness, and with our comfort dog, Pepper, who have played an integral role with our crime victims throughout this whole process.
Aww.
To that, Sue Opper.
Victim comfort
Thank
dog.
you. First and foremost, our thoughts and concerns remain with the victims involved in this tragedy and their families. Although the defendant devastated our community, the people of the city of Waukesha, Waukesha County, and beyond demonstrated tremendous resiliency. We are so grateful for the first responders, citizens, and medical professionals who sprang into action and immediately rendered aid and saved so many lives that day. We appreciate the jury for their work and dedication to justice. We commend the police officers and citizen witnesses who testified or were prepared to testify and asked to relive the events of that horrific day. We are satisfied that this defendant has been held accountable for his actions. He now faces imprisonment of 6 consecutive life sentences plus 859 years of confinement. There is much healing ahead for the victims and for our community, but we hope today's result is a step further along that path. Remain strong, Waukesha. Thank you.
Oh, short but sweet.
Waukesha Police Chief Dan Thompson.
Probably because they have so many people ready to talk.
Thank you. 2 days we'll never forget. November 21 of 2021, on that tragic day, and October 26th of 2022. Why October 26th? Because justice was served today. I want to say thank you and praises to this community. I want to say thank you in the resiliency and strength of the families and victims who were involved in it and were impacted by this event. The investigation team, I want to send a personal thank you to the District Attorney's Office, Sue Opper, Leslie, Zach, and everyone on that team who assisted in this successful prosecution. I want to say thank you to the jury and the court process and the court proceedings and everyone that was involved in the court who found this defendant guilty, which is just and right. That defendant's actions did not define this great community. It refined us and our resolve and our strength in being Waukesha strong. Thank you.
David.
I really like these approach of short statements from all the affected people.
Thank you. I'm David Sorensen. These are my 2 sons. Justice was served for my wife, Virginia Sorensen, my 3 children, and the whole Sorensen clan. Thank you very much to the people that did this court case. We appreciate it. Sean or Marshall wants to say one little thing.
We've been praying for this day for a long time, and this morning my 5-year-old daughter came up to me and handed me this necklace with my mom's ashes in it, and she told me to take my mom with us for the sentencing. So she was with us today, and I just want to thank everyone for what they did today. And one last thing, my mom always used to tell us when we were kids and our family that she always said, angels watch over you guys. So I just want to say angels watch over you guys and turn on those blue lights tonight.
Thank you.
I want to first thank the prosecution team. They were the one that got us to this point. I'm thankful for all their support along the way and getting us to this day. It's been a difficult day. I know that this will give us healing. This is another step forward in this process. We've been resilient all the way through. One of the things that I've said so much throughout this is that we're stronger than him, and it's been proven today. It's just another step forward in the process. So I want to thank Sue, Zach, Leslie, all those guys for their hard work, Jen and her staff, and especially those first responders that has been brought up. They are the ones that especially kept me here, gave us a second chance, and they've kept our community strong. So yeah, Waukesha strong. As Marshall said, he touched on it. Keep those blue lights on tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Just want to say that I'm very happy with the verdicts and that, justice has been served today. I would just like to thank everybody, the first responders, the DA and the judge, all the law enforcement, everybody who was involved, especially those who were very much involved with my family and the support system that we have had. It's been amazing to see how wonderful this community has been to pull together for all of those who were hurt that night.
Thank you. With that, we'll take a few questions. Those
Okay.
available for questions will be Chief Thompson and District Attorney Sue Opper. So
All
I'll
right.
start right here, TMJ4. Would you like to?
We'll see what the questions of the DA are going to be. I'm here for this very well articulated commentary, folks. I'm glad that you're
obviously quite
here with me.
satisfying that Mr. Brooks has been found guilty and held accountable for his actions. As many of these victims have said, this is a joyous day for that reason. It's also the point where we hope everyone can move on from. The support that we've gotten as this case wore on day after day was tremendous, and we're very relieved. I guess that's the best word, is relief.
Hillary?
They really are.
How do you begin to describe what it was like going up against Brooks as defending him, representing himself? Did that change your strategy? How did you get
The question is strategy of going up against someone like
Legally,
Brooks.
it changed our strategy, certainly, because if there's an appeal, we have to do, he can make a mistake in the courtroom and get a new trial, and we have to pay the price for that, we the state and we the victims. So it changed
Right.
our strategy in that we had to make sure, and Judge Darrell did as well, the record was very thorough, very complete, and we didn't miss anything. But as far as handling the actual court proceedings, we felt very, very offended by his behavior, his disrespect of the court, the decorum, the families, his insulting the judge, his challenging the judge. That's not the way our system is designed. That was intentional on his part. We truly believe that.
Yes.
He did
I do as
everything
well.
he can except claim that the dog ate his homework. And he tried to turn this into his story. Let's talk about Mr. Brooks and his family. And we just kept redirecting it back to the real focus here is our families, our victims, our community, and his responsibility for this destruction.
58.
What was the most challenging part, and how did you keep your patience through all of it?
What was challenging?
Again, it wasn't a difficult case factually, and I don't mean to sound
No, it was clear.
overly confident in that, but this case was unique because the activity was videotaped, right? And so whereas most cases we have to rely on eyewitness accounts or other ways to prove the case, we had videograph evidence of his behavior all up and down that crime scene and throughout the neighborhood. So that way, it wasn't difficult. Again, the difficulty and the challenges we faced was what nonsense was going to come out of his mouth next.
Right.
And
Nonsense is a
we
great
were
word.
anticipating much of what would come next and being ready legally with case law and legal authority to be able to respond to that. So I think that was the hardest thing. The investigation was so thorough, so well done that we knew the facts were solid. It was just making sure the record and the presentation was done legally accurate.
We'll do Fox Local.
So what went into your decision to perhaps minimize the number of direct witnesses that went up on that stand? And I wonder, did you expect any of these antics if that went into your decision?
What did you do to minimize
Yes, it
what he
did.
could do?
So obviously we didn't know until very late that he'd be representing himself. But we as a team set out from day one, and this was months and months ago when he still had attorneys, we vowed we would not put children on the stand. Absolutely. It wasn't necessary. Again, there were plenty of other ways to tell this story without asking a child to testify in a courtroom and relive this very, very extreme tragic situation. So
No
that was a
kids.
commitment we made as a team months ago, and we stuck by that. Certainly, as we learned his antics, we reevaluated, and we would discuss it every night as a team: is who are we going to use tomorrow, and do we really need this person? Because we were so, again, not personally offended, but professionally offended that he would insult the process and insult the victims, accuse them of financial gain for their testimony, things like that. It was just so offensive that we definitely were conscious of that in our decision making, and how can we minimize this for the best of everyone, but still provide a compelling story. So yes, it did definitely play a factor.
Trying to protect those victims from Brooks.
There were so many victims' families inside the courtroom every day, sitting behind you. How much did that
I can't hear this one at all, guys. I'm sorry.
how you present your evidence, your closing argument, you mentioned them, and have you been able to speak to any of them that aren't here that maybe you said something to you afterwards?
Yes. The motivation we received from those families was tremendous. And we knew, again, from the point when Mr. Brooks chose to represent himself, this was going to be a marathon. We talked about that many times as a team, that we just need to keep moving forward every day, whatever that looked like. But what motivated us was these families that are behind me, a lot of them. And we thought of those mothers and fathers sitting in hospital rooms with their children, and the ongoing care that they're still physically healing from, and certainly emotionally healing from. And that motivated us tremendously. But you couldn't meet a nicer group of people. I mean, that's the thing, is I'm not surprised, having lived in Waukesha for 35 years, that they're good people here. And they would ask us, how are you doing? Do you guys need anything? Which was really phenomenal. They were a tremendous group of people to work for. And it was our honor to represent them and be a voice for them in the court.
Yesterday seemed through Darrell Brooks a little bit of a lifeline when it came to presenting his closing argument.
Man, I wish they gave them mics.
What made you go that route to allow him and then just object to what he was saying?
That was strategic for the appeal, to be very blunt. I wasn't throwing a lifeline to Mr. Brooks. I really had no interest in hearing what he had to say, because I heard all of his lies and stories.
I think that was about the closing arguments. I did hear
That
procedure.
was just trying to do what was legally required at the moment. And I frankly wasn't sure it was going to work, because he was so difficult with Judge Darrell. But in the end, it did work. He got to blurt out what he wanted to blurt, and then the judge struck that from the record, and we were able to move on.
She is such a direct speaker.
That was the result, but
I
we
love
talked
it.
about it at the prosecution table, and came up with that idea of, let's offer this again, just to protect the record for the appeal.
Jim.
What caught you by surprise?
Again, his absolute disrespect and dishonor to the victims, the community, and the court process.
I'll do Brian from the Freeman, and then two more we'll do CBS, and then, where are you from? Okay, those are the last three. So go, Brian, you got one?
Okay, 3 more questions.
Since the verdict was announced that perhaps the decision to represent himself is grounds for appeal. Are you concerned at all about that?
Well, Mr. Brooks has a right to an appeal. Every defendant does. And I fully expect him to take advantage of his rights as a convicted defendant in this case. I am very confident in the record that Judge Darrell made and his decision to represent himself. Yes.
It's a very, very appeal resistant record.
What do you think about the length of time that the jury took to deliberate? Short, long, surprised?
We were not. We talked about it last night, and frankly, I know a lot of you were here too. We were all, by the time we got to that 8 o'clock mark, we were exhausted. And when they said they wanted to go home and rest, we were thankful, quite frankly, because we all felt the same way. It's such an emotionally draining day. And to get through all that and the nonstop banter from Mr. Brooks, it's taxing. You all witnessed it yourself.
It is taxing.
So
what a
we were
perfect
grateful.
word.
We thought they gave it good thought, because They went out around 6:30. Their dinner was there immediately, right? So jurors are human beings. They get a nice meal. They got a little time to talk, and then they decided, let's rest. Let's sleep on it. Always a good option for decision making for anybody, right? Get a good night's sleep on it, and come back the next day. And then, they worked again for about another hour this morning. And with the quality of the investigation in this case, we think the verdict was fair. The timing was spot on.
I think it took them that long to sign the 76 charges, honestly.
Well, I hope some of you caught the flavor of that. You cannot imagine until you saw some of those videos how horrific it would have been to stand there and watch that, especially when your children, and some of these witnesses testified to that, they couldn't find their children, right? And that's not just people who were struck. That there was many citizens who could not find their own child for a period of time. So
that's
just,
absolute terror.
Unbelievable. But once the car went through and everybody had that initial, the way the citizens of this community punched in, there's no other word for it. The nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, the paramedics, anybody who knew anything about how to apply a Band-Aid walked into that street and treated those people. So that was another source of strength for us, right? Is if they could do that, we can get through this.
As we move on to the next phases of the judicial process, I'm sure that people will be readily available to provide comment as we get into, we have a court hearing on Monday at 1 o'clock, I believe, for scheduling. And I think then we're going to go into the sentencing phase, and we'll know more about that. People here behind me will make themselves available for you, I'm pretty much sure, as this goes on. But as of right now, we're going to end it and allow people to be with their families. And definitely this prosecution team needs some much needed rest.
We want to see Pepper again.
Away from this courthouse. So thank you all very much for being here today.
All right.
If we could make a line so I can allow these people up. Thank you. It was more so at your camera.
So I think that's going to just about do it for the press conference. I think they had a real good plan. I'm going to mute it and just put it in the corner here if I can. Sorry. A lot to think about, right? For all the people that we love and what that situation would feel like to be in. They end with saying you can't even imagine. And they're almost certainly right that I can't literally imagine. Okay, we can take it off screen. But I feel like what was so effective in that closing argument yesterday was that we were effectively asked to imagine, right? That they played the Christmas music. We've been to those kinds of parades. I can't speak for you in chat. I live in a small town. You hear me at the top of every virtual legality tell you I live in Northville, Michigan, because I love my town. It is a delightful, tiny little town. We have a 4th of July parade. We have a Christmas parade. They sit in the back. They throw out the candies. The local high school bands play. The dance teams come. The local dentist advertise on the side of a truck. And it's such a hard thing to think of that kind of space being violated and losing your mom. I mean, we've all lost people, right? And we haven't all lost people like that, and it's tough. So I'm going to get it together. We're going to look at super chats. I really apologize for that. We're going to talk more analytically about what I think they did right to structure that. I really like. So I'm biased. I'm in Michigan. I'm a Midwesterner. I've been a Midwesterner my whole life. And I like the way we talk. I like the directness of it. Sometimes we're not slick. Sometimes opposing counsel calls me up and talks down to me and condescendingly. And that's okay. Because I think there's a value. There's a real value in that directness of talking to people right where they are. I think that they had it down, and to hear that they were keeping kids out because they didn't need them. And then to hear, because of the way Brooks was questioning people, that they even went and looked at what their plan was and said, do we need this person? One of the things you heard or maybe didn't, but you can check out the stream on Emily D. Baker's stream. And Emily, that is a way too generous super chat. And I started, so we'll talk about it again, but you did not have to do that. But on her stream yesterday was Peter Tragos, the lawyer, you know, check his out. And I did see someone in comments say that he's got a really respectful chat as well. And he's been covering this day in and day out. So I'm sure he'll have a stream, if he doesn't already, on the verdict, on the press conference. So definitely go visit him. But he said, you know, I would have told potentially a more emotional story. You've got people injured, you've got people hurt, you've got people in hospitals, you've got fathers carrying kids. And that makes a lot of sense. And it seems like, based on those answers that we got just now, it seems like one of the things that happened is that they decided, what do we need to cross that threshold to make this case, and no more, right? That yes, we could put all 61 people up there to talk about their experiences, and it would be harrowing, and it would push that point, it would underline it, it would exclaim it to the world. But especially after Mr. Brooks is out there haranguing the witnesses and doing what he is doing, who do we really, really need to make this case? And it is such a considered position for trying to maintain the dignity of these people that were affected a year ago in court. And I respect it so much. And so I'll try to get my stuff together. Hopefully you can get your stuff together on chat. We'll answer some of these super chats. We'll keep talking about this as long as anybody needs. And then I'll go back to working on the investment documents I should be working on. But I think these kinds of conversations are important. And I really do think the structure of that was really smart. Very short statement, short statement, short statement. I do wish, somebody commented on it, I do wish some of the victims, the survivors, had named themselves. I think the very first one did, and let us know who they were. They deserve that. But honestly, I can't. This is a tragedy that happened to you. You didn't go to do public speaking on behalf of the system. So I think it's okay. Could have been improved, but I think it was a good setup. They took some good questions. And I was actually very happy that somebody asked the question, which I was really interested in. It was like, what possesses you to say, go for the closing argument at that point? And I think I had ascertained it at the time, which was you did the calculation and thought that was better on appeal. And I agree with you. And you kind of heard that come from the prosecutor here, which was, we wanted to make that record as crystal clear as possible. So yeah, he's going to blurt out whatever he's going to blurt out. Again, Wisconsin, Midwestern directness, but it's going to be worse for us if one side gets a closing argument and the other doesn't, because that's the kind of thing, just quantifiable for a court of appeals to say, at least without looking at any other facts, that raises a red flag. If you're just sitting in the court of appeals and you didn't know anything about this, you'd never seen anything about it, you say, you didn't give the defendant a closing argument, ordinarily that's going to raise a flag for me. And so you have to then convince the other side. And in this particular case, I think the DA made the right call. One, he's going to blurt out what he's going to blurt out, whatever. He's already blurted it out. Two, have you heard him talk? He's going to make it worse, which he did. And three, this makes us more appeals proof than we otherwise would have been. I think so. It was a great judgment call at the time. And the benefits of having to go through that leniency, which I know irritated Emily and it irritates me, and I know it irritates a lot of other people, is that you do get to that finish line. And regardless of what Pops Hoeg comes in with the super chat, yes, you've spent a lot of money on this, but it does appear to be a pretty appeal resistant record. I would not expect an appeal to be victorious at the end of the day on this. Elizabeth, I was in a small town. I was in a marching band. I've been in so many Christmas parades. I've been to so many, Elizabeth. I can picture the scene so well. It's horrifying. You can put yourself there, right? You can put yourself there. And the one that really got to me yesterday was they were doing the closing arguments. They did the videos and it was just the screaming because they, I think rightly, decided not to put on the more visceral stuff on the TV broadcast. But honestly, that's almost worse. And so first of all, thank you all for being here. We're going to do more conversations. We're going to do more super chats. I'm Rick Hoeg. This is Virtual Legality. This is not what we do on this channel. But I'm very appreciative for everybody here. The press conference is over. I will take down that post. I don't think we'll have any more live coverage here on this channel, but I'm going to answer these questions. We're going to talk about it. And I think on a very emotional day with very emotional things to consider in these lives in Waukesha, Wisconsin, in our own. It's a good thing to have a community to have these conversations, and to talk about the justice system and how it works, but also just to converse with each other. So for everybody else, thank you for checking it out, and I'm very glad to have you here and dropping in. So let's hit some of these super chats. Stacy, local news indicates they expect a family member. Okay, I got this one, and we did in fact see some of those survivors, some of those victims, and it was emotional. And as Emily warned, as I will warn, victim statements week is gonna be tough. Is gonna be tough. Eddie, scared emoji face. Amazing blue hearts coming to Lincoln. Black and white hearts in 23. Be easy on us. Nebraska Cornhuskers, thank you for putting a smile on my face. I love college football here. It is hate week, which sounds a little bit silly in this context, but it's Michigan State week playing on Saturday. I love my college football team. Go Blue. Wolverine through and through. I love Nebraska. I really hope you guys swing around. I really have loved Nebraska for a long time. Not 1997 so much, but you understand. With Your Birds, definitely came here to hang out. Fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for the support of the channel. I really appreciate it. Laria revoices, my 4-year-old was recently sick and said my voice sounds like a horse. And later in the day, I have a horse in my throat. Good times. Laughing emoji. Our kid's the best. I love the kind of off-putting way they sometimes say things. You have a horse in my throat. I love it. Silja Satala, I apologize for that pronunciation if I got it horribly wrong. Hi from Finland. This trial was absolutely crazy for me to see, but very interesting as well. Thanks to all the law tubers who covered this. Absolutely. So many people covering this, so much interest, and I'm so glad that people in 2022 are getting such a good look at how the justice system works, how lawyers work, that lawyers are people, that there's all sorts of things that go into this process, and I think a lot of people are really getting a great look at it, and that's due not even primarily to me, but to so many of my great colleagues around YouTube and Facebook and other places. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Terry Zislecki, we could all use an emotional support dog today. Wasn't it good to see Pepper? It was good to see Pepper. Pepper looked ready to emotionally support you at that press conference, and I think it was needed. Cheryl C, subbed during Depth v. Heard, stayed for the thoughtful commentary and all the nerdy stuff and the emoji reading. Toothy smile emoji, laughing on the floor emoji. Thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate it. Dawn Noel Hall, I love that they have a comfort dog. I did too. Our emotional comfort dog Pepper was introduced at the press conference. That's fun. It's fun. Fun times. Thank you for doing the stream. Hoeg, they're my black hearts. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all coming and dropping in. It's good to have a community to talk these things through with. Lovely. Thank you, Mr. Hoeg. Very respectful commentary and coverage. That is what I hope to do here, right? I will say this, it's always, you've got something this harrowing, this trying, you're going to talk at a press conference, you're going to comment on it. All I want to do is to be respectful of what these people went through, which while I can't imagine it, I can't imagine it. I think they are deserving of that. So thank you for dropping in. Thank you for the support of the channel. I really appreciate it. Emily, I already said it. You did not have to do this. You are fantastic. I hope to one day be as good at commenting on these things as you are. Thank you so much. And I hope, however your day is going, that it is productive and fruitful. Dragon Star, thank you so much for the support of the channel. I really appreciate it. Patty McDaniel, Hoeg, you holding the stream today is priceless. Thank you for keeping it respectful. Your commentary is spot on. Thank you. I certainly try. And I appreciate you all working through the 10 minutes with me of trying to find a good place to find the press conference. I never know tech issues if they're going to work out. So thank you for that. Ms. Demeanor, thank you, Hoeg. I appreciate you. I'm very emotional right now. I appreciate you, Super Chat. I appreciate you, Ms. Demeanor. Thank you so much. And look at this little pupper. Very, very cute. Ace is rad. Thank you, Hoeg. You are a welcome light in an otherwise dark subject. Justice was served. Families can hopefully heal now. You did hear that. You heard that concept, and we've got a praying emoji and a blue heart emoji in this Super Chat. You heard that notion of, hopefully we can start to heal. Hopefully we can put this past us. And I hope so too. Right? It's the human world is such an imperfect one. They can't bring the people back. We can't uninjure you. We can't take those memories of terror at a Christmas parade in our small town community away. But we can use the procedures that we have in front of us to make sure that the person responsible gets punished. And while that isn't perfect, it can be something, and hopefully it can start that healing process for so many people that are affected by this kind of thing. Aviation Fanatic, thanks for doing this, Hoeg. Those 3 blue hearts, you did hear reference to the blue lights, which honestly was not something I was familiar with, not being in Waukesha, Wisconsin, but it appears, I think somebody in the comments said that the leadership of the community had said essentially unite under the blue light. I don't know why they selected blue. Maybe somebody in the comments does. But I appreciate the super chat, Aviation Fanatic. Sue, I appreciate the super sticker. This is more than generous of all of you, everybody. I just wanted to make sure we had a good conversation about this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you again. Letha, now more grieving can happen. Healing can as well. Both part of that healing process. Grieving's important. Getting through this process, honestly, so quickly. I know it doesn't feel that way, but November to October is pretty darn fast for the judicial system on these things. Getting through it, getting to the next holiday season with this verdict in place, I feel is important for the community. I would suspect the DA felt that as well. And hopefully healing can begin. I obviously like my Midwestern brothers and sisters in Wisconsin, so I really do hope they can heal. Karina, what do the blue lights mean? I think it's a unification concept. It's a symbolic one. I don't know why blue lights were specifically picked. Does everyone in the city have a blue light at home? Sorry for my ignorance. Thank you for commenting for us. I wish I could tell you. I don't know why a blue light was specifically picked. Maybe someone in the chat does. So we'll look out for that. Laura Leaney, thank you, Rick. Black heart emoji. Thank you so much. I do see, I can't grab it right now, but generalized a blue of supporting people that have missing folks in that grief, in that unity. Very much could be that. Certainly colors are picked for those kinds of things. You remember tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree and those kinds of things. Christy Hoffman, thank you for providing a safe space for all of us to watch this coverage together. Black heart means so much. Prayers and love to the town and families. Absolutely. Prayers, of course. And yeah, my goal is to provide a respectful place on the internet. And I think there are like-minded people like Emily, like others that folks have mentioned, that seek to do that too. Equality, parents' worst nightmare. Yeah, it's when they describe that, it's not just the people that were even directly affected, but there was the separation moment, and you have that car come through, and you hear screaming, and you can't find your kid. Yeah, absolutely terror show. Laura, thank you, Hoeg. Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate it. Chelly, thank you for the super sticker. This is very generous. I really appreciate it. Clout, so never apologize for showing real emotion. Thank you. I like to be a good presenter. I like to provide commentary and analysis and hopefully be worthy of your time and attention on a channel like this one when you have so many choices. But yeah, sometimes you just have to take a beat and reflect on what people are saying in your own life and your own circumstances. And I did. Jen B from a fellow Michigander, a Youper, our Upper Peninsula. Thank you, Hoeg. Thank you, Jen B. I really appreciate it. Nancy P, nice coverage. Thank you. Thank you. I love the atom here in your profile. It's a very cool profile picture. Kirsten, I've kept it together until now. Your care and compassion for the victims and the law have moved this INTJ personality to tears. Tears can be an important part of the emotional process for everybody. Thank you for watching with me. Terrence is lucky. It was so infuriating when he called the mother of the 2 children killed. Thank you for the coverage and kindness, Hoeg. Yeah, the mother stuff. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I watched some of it and did not watch it all. So it was infuriating. It was infuriating. So we got through those super chats. Hopefully I can make sure that we don't miss anybody else. You guys have been so generous and such a wonderful community. Midnight Dreary, I know it's not your normal content, but thanks for this. Yeah, I just want to set expectations. If anybody thinks that this is changing into the live trial channel, I will continue to push for my colleagues on that, and I will show up on their channels when they will have me. This is a special circumstance, but I wanted to do it. Alyssa, thank you for your coverage. Saw you on Emily's stream last night. Appreciate all of you that cover these law issues. Hearts emoji. Yeah, some of them can be emotionally harrowing, certainly. It's TJ Talk, born in Kalamazoo, grew up in Troy, Michigander. No offense to my Los Angeles neighbors, but it is the thing I miss most. Normal, down-to-earth, direct, honest folks. I love my state. I do. I love my state. I even love Spartans, right? I got a lot of clients that are Spartans. Michigan State, we're playing each other at college football. At the end of the day, it's still a game. I love Michigan. I love Midwesterners. I always will. Whew. Lots of very kind comments in the chat. Matt Elliott, first time seeing you without a baseball cap on, huh? Yeah. I didn't know what was going to happen with the schedule. Emily says she needs some time. I say, all right, I'll see if I can hit all the buttons in time. As you can see, the placeholder for this is just the logo of my series. I didn't write any special thumbnail or anything. Meryl B, dude, thank you for your humanity. And I remind people to hit that like button. Hey, if you like this content, probably not this specific content, but if you like these kinds of conversations, this kind of space, I generally am going to be talking about business transactions and headlines and hangouts, which are going to cover a lot more breadth. I do those at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. And we have a lot of really good commentary and a lot of really good comments here. I've got a squeaky door. Oh, you want to show off Waffle Bear? Okay, we have a lot of requests for the littlest Hoegling's other most popular product, which is, of course, the Waffle Bear. We can always be having a happy smile from my daughter and her love of mixing animals and foods. So here is Waffle Bear. You can't quite tell. He's got different colored ears. He's got a little bow tie. And Waffle Bear, I think, will be appearing on the internet very soon. I don't know whether it will be on my store or her own store. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, please do hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make YouTube know that there is a space for reasonable minds can differ in empathy and treating others with humanity. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I know this isn't actually about Waffle Bear, but thank you, Mrs. Hoeg, from Michelle. Seems apropos right now. And on, I'm from a small town in Michigan as well. I remember years ago taking my husband to the homecoming parade in game. He couldn't believe this was still done. He said it was like going back in time. We definitely have homecoming parades. Yeah, I think there are so many places in America, and I would guess around the world, although everybody's going to have their own traditions in history, but there are so many places that still do that still have the actual one diner that you go to before prom and still have the homecoming parade and dance and still have the 4th of July parade and the Christmas parade. And it's so funny because it's October, right? I get solicitations. I'm a small business owner in Southeast Michigan. Do you want to sponsor a float? Do you want to appear in the Christmas parade? Do you want to help the chamber put out skeletons for the Halloween festivities? And I love that. But you can see how something like this, like we're talking about today, could just absolutely devastate that sense of safety and that sense of community. And there's so much crap. There's so much crap that we have to deal with in society or the internet or people attacking each other, ridiculousness. And there is a value in seeing that. I know it sounds like a brand or what have you, but like Waukesha Strong and like the people reacting and talking to you directly and having dealt with this thing that happened a year ago and saying, no, we're not going to let that break our community. We're going to do the opposite. It means a lot. Melissa Camilleri, I'm sure I butchered that, Melissa. Another good example of why trials should be televised to the public so we can see what really happens. Absolutely. I'm entirely in favor of having trials publicized to have that level of transparency so that we can have these conversations, as harrowing as they sometimes might be, because that's an important part of the process. It's also important to show that courts and justice systems make mistakes and that it's people all the way down, and understanding what lawyers go through and what defendants and prosecutors go through and everything else. Because on all the stories we cover here on this channel and everywhere else from my colleagues and folks on YouTube, is that all these institutions, you think of a giant company. I said I covered Microsoft and Activision and the Competition and Markets Authority in the UK, right? And they have these big grandiose names, and Microsoft's worth $2 trillion and Activision's worth $70 billion. And the CMA is a giant regulatory body in the United Kingdom. They're all people, right? They're all people. And that means they can make mistakes. That means they can do good things. That means they can do bad things. And that goes triply, if not quintuply so, for the justice system, where we are giving the state the power to do very bad things to people's liberty and in some jurisdictions to their life. And so understanding how that works, understanding things as trivial in the broad landscape of things as Dep V heard, and understanding how that can be interacted with is really important. I feel very strongly about that. And so I'm very glad that there are more and more people doing that here. Here's Alyssa with the commentary I was reading otherwise while we were going through the original batch of super chats. Blue, a symbol of bring them home. We use it for missing people, for community to come together and to support victims here. Blue hearts. Thank you, Alyssa. I really do appreciate that. I just didn't know the background of that specifically, but certainly calls for unity can be very important and symbolic, yes, but even more than that in bringing those people together. Kate R. with a great comment. Grieving never stops, but hopefully a huge weight has been lifted for their loved ones and the community as a whole. I hope so. That's all we can hope. That's all we can hope. Barbara with a thank you super chat. Thank you, Barbara. I really appreciate the support of the channel. Typically, blue light refers to police, law enforcement. I know blue line does. I don't. Blue light, honestly, let's just be fully honest, because this is the way my brain works. Blue light to me tends to signal sales in supermarkets. That's how I think. But I think as a symbol of unity, it's great. You know, unite and light rhyme. That's nice. Light in general against the darkness is nice. Blue, as you just heard Alyssa describe, is for support in communities. I think that's nice. Yeah, I don't think it's specifically law enforcement, although you did hear a call out for first responders to the specific circumstances at hand. Just Sarah Hoeg. I'm not a trial lawyer. It's Weekend Wednesday. Also, Hoeg, I'm here this Wednesday, even after covering this trial, to be your emotional support human. I don't know if I'm doing a great job, Just Sarah. I'm not going to lie. Thank you. Never change. 3 black heart emojis. I appreciate it. We're all supporting each other. So all we can do as a community is support each other. Justin Kosick, saw someone get hit by a car while in traffic, cross the street, no crosswalk, driver going at least 30, was raining my windows, we're up and music on, still heard the impact. I'll never forget the sound. Yeah, I think we all have moments like that, whether in traffic or not. I still remember I'm driving to work a number of years back, way too many years. I'm older than I think. And my motorcycler is doing a pop a wheelie behind me and crashes, like flips it over and smashes behind it. And you can see all the rest of the highway traffic. This is highway speeds, driving to work. It's rush hour. I won't ever forget that. I mean, this is probably 15 years ago. So yeah, if you're directly affected and you're at a Christmas parade, it's hard to fathom, right? It's hard to fathom. Blue light support police too. Hey, I don't doubt it. I mean, blue is one of those colors you associate with law enforcement. Blue lights are for emergency services in Australia. This is interesting. So yeah, blue lights honor first responders, says another person. Yeah. So I think this can all go together. Unite with the blue light. So absolutely. Hoeg, their flag is blue. Wisconsin. Yeah, I would believe that. Unite with the blue light. Waukesha was distributing blue light bulbs as symbols of unity after Christmas parade tragedy. So that makes sense. And I think unity is important in circumstances like this. Colleen, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate the support. And we're getting more color here from the commenters. I really appreciate it, commenters. Not everybody can know everything. That's certainly the case, and I will fully admit that myself. They passed out those blue light bulbs after the incident to show support, and then reminded of it here in the press conference. Ohio Palm Mom says a good presenter shows our humanity. Y'all are very generous, and I appreciate it. I am not sorry for having emotions. I'm just sorry for getting choked up and not being able to finish my sentence. So I appreciate it. Emily, this is very, very nice. That's why we love you, Hoeg. Anyone can have a YouTube channel, but not everyone would view it with so much compassion and humanity. God willing, I try. I absolutely try. We could use us some Waffle Bear, Hoeg. Hey, I'm in contract negotiations with my youngest daughter, but she's driving hard bargains here, okay? Seriously, though, she may want to have her own space. And I support her fully. We love entrepreneurship here in the Hoeg family. Jen K, thanks for this. Another Youper, Jen. Go Sparty. You know what? I'm all in for community right now. So good luck to you, Spartans. I think you're going to need it. Oh my God, I need Waffle Bear like yesterday. Waffle Bear is awesome. I see that we're in the place in my chat where we were bringing out Waffle Bear. We love Waffle Bear. Russell Seidel, go green, fingers crossed. You know what I love about college football, right? We have these rivalries. Ooh, we're gonna get you. I still love my Sparty friends, it's nice to have, even as a sense of community, a thing that you can just be like, we can gently rib each other over our college athletes, professional, not professional. Oh my God, NCAA. I didn't say that. Prowess on the football field, and have a good time with it, and actually bring the community together in hate a little bit, but still fun. Renee Marie, I'm born and raised Toledo, Ohio girl, but love Michigan football. Go blue. I love it. Go green, go blue. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun on Saturday. Lori became a new YouTube member of the channel. Thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciate it. Hoeg swore. Did I? It's been that kind of day. Did I swear? We don't usually swear in this space. Jay Jones, I surprised my 6-year-old with a pink Gaming Dino shirt. It came in yesterday and she loved it. Thanks for sharing your family and creating a beautiful community. I've said this before, but there is like nothing better than both the smile that my daughter has and just knowing that like people love her stuff. And I'm not an artist. I couldn't do anything remotely like she does. It's very, very cool, folks. So that you guys love it and are drinking out of Gaming Dino mugs and wearing Gaming Dino t-shirts is really, really awesome. I will relay that to her. E. Warner, heard on another stream this morning they were having their Christmas parade, so I wish I could go to Wisconsin. Well, I mean, the timing from the events was late November. So, yeah, if they're going to do it again, more power to them. They're going to put on the Christmas parade. I think that is so awesome. I hope some people cover it and just say, go Waukesha. And then we got some go Bucks. We'll get to you later, Bucks. Scariest freaking college football team on the planet. Ohio State Buckeyes. Bob, thank you for covering this. Thank you for the support. Here's an emotional support dog. Look at this guy. He's happy. Peter's playing golf. He said he would be live later. He was at a private golf course, so he couldn't go live. The lawyer, yeah, fantastic. So we'll go kind of in sequence here, I would be willing to bet. And Peter Tragos will undoubtedly cover this. He will have some great insight. Check him out, the lawyer, he is a compatriot here on these YouTubes of talking about law and is a private injury attorney. Janet Roncone, thank you so much for the super chat. That is very supportive. We got more Go Bucks. I got the Go Bucks. I get it. We'll do that hate week next after Michigan State. Hopefully still undefeated. Courtney S., thanks for your coverage. Thank you, Courtney. I really appreciate it. Pops Hoeg, the tolerance of this idiot was an unnecessary torture of innocent victims. He's got the hot takes today. Have you noticed this? My dad is very energized by this. He could easily have been kept in the other room with a mic and a 7-second delay. No appeal issue at all. I think we can have different thresholds for when an appeal issue might develop. And I might take the district attorney in Wisconsin's opinion of how these things should be handled, along with the judges, for what the Court of Appeals in Wisconsin might do, fellow Michigander Pops Hoeg. But I appreciate the super chats, and I appreciate that you are interested in this. I am not going to disagree with you that I would not have wound up as lenient as this judge. I wouldn't have. But I do think they did their best to make sure they wouldn't have to try this again. And I think you heard from the prosecutor a very important point, which was if his mistakes get to be too egregious, that the actual view of the trial is so far afield that we have to ask for a mistrial, then we have to go through this again. Our victims have to go through this again. He's still him. So we don't know where this ends. And so we have to take special account of, we don't want him to do something so bad that there has to be a mistrial. And they manage that. And I think we can give them credit for that, even if both you and I would prefer that it was maybe a little bit more controlled in her courtroom. She did not have strong reins on the actual presence in the courtroom. Jen K, hubby was a Sparty. What is NMU? New Mexico University, maybe? Wildcats can't football. Shrug. Yes. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, absolutely. Emily, then Hoeg, then lawyer, I think that could go down almost exactly that way today. Certainly, I do have some practicing of law to do, folks, and I have gotten to the end of the internet. I believe I've gotten to the end of the comments here. So as we roll into 3 o'clock here, we've been live for just under a couple of hours. I want to say thank you to everybody. We've got mods. They are fantastic. Thank you, Secret McSquirrel. Thank you, other mods who are helping handle this. We did have bots for a little bit. But no amount of mods can keep a community fully respectful. That's on you. You guys deserve credit for coming in here, harrowing stuff, certain political sensitivities on some of this stuff, and coming in here exactly as I would hope and I would expect for people that are looking to converse and understand and agree or disagree, but with each other and respectful of that. So I know I've said it a bunch of times. I really, really appreciate that. That's what we do here on the channel. As you exit, if you do like, if you don't like, you can hit a dislike. I always take constructive criticism. Leave comments. Do as Emily says, the YouTubey things, because the algorithm is unknowable, is a black box. But I think the more that we can signal that this is the kind of space we want, these are the kind of conversations that we can have, the more voices are going to be out there and be bigger and have these conversations and hopefully just keep improving this internet of ours. So please do that, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for the very generous super chats. Thank you for being here on an emergency basis. Thank you, Dad, for the super chats and the good disagreements, the well-intentioned positions. We can have those conversations. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll have a phone call later. But to everybody who's not directly related to me by blood, thank you so much. And I will catch you on the next episode of Virtual Legality, which I can pretty much guarantee won't be live trial coverage. Thanks again, folks, and have a great one.